It's been 30 years since Honda's first minivan came to America, and it's been highly requested that I cover it. So grab a box of fishy crackers, sit back and relax, and let's take a journey from the 90s to now as we look back at every generation of the Honda Odyssey. The first generation, the one I feel not everyone remembers, was pretty different from all the versions that would come after it, mainly because it didn't have sliding doors and it wasn't a V6. The original Odyssey was built on the 5th gen Accord platform, and it shared its 2.2-liter F-Series engine. The Odyssey variation was the F22B6. It made 140 horsepower and 145 pound-feet of torque. Very underpowered by today's standards for a minivan, but really only a little underpowered for 1995. What this engine lacks in torque though, it makes up for in reliability. These F-Series engines with basic maintenance can pretty much run forever, and anyone who's a 90s Accord fan knows that 300,000, 400,000, even 500,000 miles on these engines is very attainable, and there's something to be said for that, especially when it comes to a family minivan, because if you're a busy family with kids, chances are you already have plenty on your plate without having to deal with unexpected breakdowns or expensive repair costs. The transmission is exclusively a 4-speed auto. How does the Odyssey drive? Well, it's obviously no rocket ship, but it's one of the more car-like feeling minivans out there. Makes sense, being built off of the Accord. MotorWeek called it the most car-like of minivans to date. Now, some may look at the exterior of this Odyssey and think it's not a very good minivan. It doesn't even have sliding doors. True, but in 1995 there were some advantages to having regular old-fashioned doors. First of all, in 95, conventional minivans all still had just one sliding door. We didn't see dual sliding doors until the 1996 Dodge Caravan and Plymouth Voyager. Furthermore, most sliding door equipped vehicles did not have roll-down windows at this time. You could pop them open, usually an inch or so at the bottom, but with two conventional doors on the Odyssey, you could roll both windows down just like on a car. And these rear doors were really quite large and opened wide. With doors like this, I don't even see what the need for sliding doors are. Okay, I guess there are some advantages. I mean, in situations where you have to park somewhere busy and the parking spots are small and close together, so you can't really open the swing doors all the way without hitting the car next to you. Admittedly, if you live in the city, this could happen just about everywhere you go. Now let's take a look inside the Odyssey. Despite the lack of sliding doors, there's actually a lot of minivan innovation going on here. First of all, roof-mounted rear climate vents with its own rear zone fan speed control was standard, even on the base LX trim. The LX trim could be ordered with one of two different seating configurations, a 7-passenger version which used a 50-50 split bench seat in the second row, or a 6-passenger configuration which used second row bucket seats. Both versions had a 2-person bench seat in the third row, which can quickly and easily be folded into the rear floor when not needed, giving the Odyssey amazing SUV-like cargo room. The interior is very spacious overall, although whichever kid gets stuck sitting in the third row right seat does have to make friends with the spare tire. At just over 187 inches in total length, the Odyssey is pretty much the same length as an equivalent Accord wagon, though it does have a longer wheelbase. Standard equipment includes dual airbags, ABS, air conditioning, the rear climate system, power door locks, windows and mirrors, cruise control, and a 4-speaker cassette radio. The EX trim adds 15-inch alloy wheels, a power sunroof, keyless entry, a 6-speaker sound system, body-colored side moldings, and map lights. EXs were available in second row bucket seat configuration only. The interior on these Odysseys is actually super versatile. With its different seating and cargo configurations, you could also just use it as a work van or as like a big wagon if you just need to haul lots of cargo. They were used as taxis for a while in New York, and with the back seats able to fold flat backwards, if you don't have a family yet, you could use the Odyssey to start one. Up front, the dash features a column-mounted shifter and a 3-dial instrument cluster. There's no tack available on this Odyssey, at least not yet, but this handy little diagram here will show you if you have a door ajar or a burnt-out brake light bulb. Another neat touch about this interior was that even with dual airbags, it had 2 glove boxes. There was a rebadged version of this Odyssey sold by Isuzu called the Isuzu Oasis, but I've already covered that in another video, so I won't get into that one here. This Odyssey didn't really see any notable changes until the final 1998 model year. 1998 was the first year of the 6th gen Accord, and the F-Series had been updated to a 2.3-liter. The 1998 Odyssey did get the updated 2.3-liter F-Series, and they also gave it the VTEC version this time. It only raises horsepower by 10, but hey, it's something. And it does say VTEC on the valve cover now, so as long as you pop the hood, you should be able to at least impress everyone at your local Civic meet. Look at this old man with his Odyssey. Oh my god, it has VTEC! 1998 Odysseys also got a slightly different grille, inverted rear turn signal lenses, and a different gauge cluster, which now featured a tach. Now in reality, I don't know if a minivan can ever be quote-unquote cool, unless it's a Toyota Previa with a 5-speed, but what's cool about the first-gen Odyssey is its simplicity and its reliability. This is the sort of van you can load up the family and take on a long road trip, without having to worry if you'll make it there before the spark plugs foul up, or if the transmission is going to tap out on the corner of Are We There Yet and Nowhere. These are one of few 90s Hondas that still haven't really gone up in demand, and even marketplace clowns don't yet know what they got. But if you own one of these, I know what you got. And hopefully you do too. Honda made significant changes to the second gen in hopes the Odyssey could catch on and gain more market share. Despite the first generation Odyssey being overall a good vehicle, sales numbers were somewhat mediocre. Owner surveys and a year-long test by Motor Trend both gave the first gen Odyssey top marks for handling, but also wished the Odyssey had more power. Many potential minivan buyers still wanted more space. The 1999 Odyssey is considerably bigger, about 14 inches longer and 5 inches wider, and wheelbase is up by about 7 inches.
Nice! It's got a big back seat.
It also has a more traditional minivan look now, since Honda gave in to market pressure and the Odyssey now has dual sliding doors. The fact is, sliding doors had long been a minivan staple, and a lot of potential minivan buyers wouldn't even look at a minivan without them. Parents just want to load and unload their kids as efficiently as possible. Have a good day at school, kids.
Odyssey 1 to home. The dangerous cargo has been unloaded.
The doors were manual on the base LX trim and power operated on the EX trim. As a side effect, these doors no longer have openable windows. The rear quarter windows can be popped open a crack via switches in the front. On the inside, the second row seats only 2, with bucket seats that can be slid together to make a bench. Sliding the seats together in this wider interior allows for much easier access to the third row, again something that's going to be very important to minivan buyers. The flush folding rear seat retains pretty much the same design and ease of use as last year, cause hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They did fix the annoying position of the spare tire, however. It's now under the floor where it belongs in a minivan. Again, there are front and rear climate controls on both models, but on the EX it's now a fully automatic climate control system. Rear climate vents are still mounted in the ceiling and both rows get 2 of them overhead, each with their own map light, so hopefully your kids don't have to fight over them now.
Bob, your offer to give my clients their own reading lights is very generous and would be acceptable if they could read.
There are also 9 cup holders, which is a lot, but still less than in a second gen Fit.
You've all gotten what you wanted in this deal. V6, dual sliding doors, etc., etc. But what about my client? Where's his share? Who's looking out for him? Jackie Childs, that's who. What's he need with 9 cup holders? What about 9 bottle holders?
How about 9 pounds of fishy crackers? Because that's usually all I see these things filled up with. Fishy crackers everywhere. Everywhere! Aside from the power doors and auto climate system, the EX trim also adds traction control, a CD player, alloy wheels, and body-colored mirrors and door handles. There was an optional navigation package on US models. If you got it, the climate controls were moved up to where the clock was, kinda similar to how they're laid out on a first-gen MDX. The styling on this generation is very conservative, I guess you could call it.
The beak-like plow looks like it could simply slice through traffic.
Honda said in a press release that minivan owners understand their vehicle conveys a family image, and they want it to look nice, but they're not looking for any over-the-top styling. The press release goes on to say, in the words of one Honda designer, just don't make it look weird. So they didn't. This Odyssey does have a few more minivan firsts up its sleeve, being the first minivan to offer head restraints and 3-point seat belts for every single seat. The other item Honda was looking to correct with this generation was the powertrain. Buyers and journalists alike were asking for more power, so let's pop the hood and see what they've got now.
Pop the hood?
Pop the hood. This will decimate all.
There it is, the 3.5-liter J-Series V6. In this iteration, it makes 210 horsepower and 229 pound-feet of torque. The transmission is a 4-speed auto, and we're entering the era of Honda's ongoing automatic transmission issues. The 4-speed had issues with bad bearings that could break apart and clog fluid passageways. In 2002, the transmission was upgraded to a 5-speed, but this transmission was no better. Inadequate oil flow could result in overheating, weakening the internals. Over time, this would often lead to tooth chipping or even an actual gear breakage. Usually this issue would make itself known with a lot of noise, but sometimes abrupt gear failure would result in the transmission locking up without warning, which is obviously very dangerous. This issue was not resolved until late 2004 production VINs, when the transmission was finally updated. A recall on 02 to early 04 VINs would be issued that same year. On vehicles with under 15,000 kilometers, a new oil jet kit was installed. Vehicles over that mileage would be inspected, and if the gears showed a certain level of deterioration, the transmission would be replaced with a reman unit. Otherwise, the oil jet kit would be installed. What about the 4-speeds? Well, they were never recalled, but lawsuits in the US did eventually force a warranty extension on them. However, this extension was not offered in Canada.
You don't have to help anybody. That's what this country's all about.
The engine was updated for 2002 as well. It's now the J35A4, and power gets a nice increase up to 240. Exterior revisions for the mid-model update were minor. There was a new grille, new wheels, and new taillights. On the inside, the EX trim now has an available leather interior, and this package would also give you heated front seats. There's also a rear 7-inch screen DVD entertainment system, commonplace in minivans and even SUVs today, but back in 2002, the Odyssey was the first minivan to have this. I actually didn't know that before. There's now a double-din audio unit with separate controls for the rear. Additional cup holders now fold out of the sides of the rear seats, and there's a new steering wheel. Overall, the second generation Odyssey does have a lot going for it. It has more power, more room, dual sliding doors, and even some available higher end creature comforts. It's a shame about that transmission, especially if you're Canadian. Ah well, even the best manufacturers make mistakes, am I right? Let's put it behind us. I'm sure failing transmissions aren't going to become a reoccurring theme or anything. It's 2005. I've got Black Parade in my Discman and a Motorola Razr in my pocket. Time to jump in your parents' minivan and head to the mall, cause brick and mortar stores are still a thing. If you're an Odyssey family, there's a new removable seat in the second row and a 60-40 3-person bench in the rear, so all 8 members of your crew can make it there in one trip. There's almost enough cup holders for everyone to have 2 drinks, or 15 different fish habitats if you're a younger family, so the Odyssey remains extremely versatile with excellent cargo carrying capabilities. And check these new sliding door windows. They're power and fully openable, just like in a car. On EX and above trims, there's even sunshades. The interior also features what Honda calls a conversation mirror, which you can fold down for a view of your rear passengers whenever you need to yell at your kids. The EX package also gives the Odyssey power sliding doors, dual zone automatic climate control for the front, an upgraded 6-speaker sound system, heated mirrors, extra ambient dash lighting, and an 8-way power adjustable seat for the driver. There's also body colored mirrors and door handles and steering wheel mounted audio controls. Leather is available again, now as its own EXL package, and it also includes heated front seats, a power moonroof, and Honda's variable cylinder management system. But we'll talk about that in a second when we get to the engine. Navigation and the DVD entertainment system were additional options with this package. There's also a new touring trim. Above the EXL is the new top-of-the-line model. This package adds a 7-speaker audio system, 17 fish habitats, a memory driver's seat, tire pressure sensors, parking sensors, automatic headlights, and a power tailgate. The 3.5 now makes 255 horsepower, but if you rate it using the updated 2006 SAE guidelines, it's 244. These engines use Honda's new VCM variable cylinder management system on EX and above trims, which allows them to advertise better fuel economy ratings. The VCM system will shut down cylinders 1 to 3, which is the rear bank, during certain driving conditions like low load cruising, where it's deemed all 6 cylinders firing is not necessary. However, there's a side effect. Oil can pull past the piston rings when the system activates and foul up one or all of the rear bank plugs, leading to misfires. This problem gets much worse on higher mileage vehicles or vehicles that don't get frequent enough oil changes, since Hondas are prone to burning oil already. Eventually, lawsuits would trigger a warranty extension in both the US and Canada. Under this extension, dealers would do a software update and replace the piston rings with updated parts on cylinders 1 to 3, which would eliminate the issue by not allowing as much oil past. These extensions are all expired now though, and paying out of pocket for this repair can run you upwards of $5,000 or more as labor rates and parts pricing continues to increase. Now there is a second non-manufacturer manufacturer-approved way to fix this though, and that's by disabling the VCM system. This eliminates the issue by in theory sucking less oil past the rings, and even on more worn engines that are letting some oil pass anyways, it's less likely to foul the plugs since they will always be firing. I've heard this works quite well, and if I owned a J-Series with this issue, it's what I would do. The difference VCM makes to fuel economy is almost never noticeable in the real world. The transmission is another 5-speed auto, but this one has a much lower failure rate. The dashboard is in general well laid out, and all controls are easy to reach, except for maybe the radio controls and definitely the heated seat switches. For 2007, a tilt and telescoping steering wheel and tire pressure sensors became standard on all models. Also in 2007, the Odyssey got a more robust transmission, helping to further lower their failure rates. 2008 would be the refresh year, and revisions include new taillights, a new grille, and a new front bumper. A backup camera, which previously only came with a navigation package, is now standard on non-navigation equipped EXL models, but in this case the screen is super small and integrated into the rearview mirror. Navigation is now standard on touring models. EX and above trims all now have true tri-zone automatic climate control. In Canada, from 2008 to 2010, there was a cost-cut entry-level DX model added below LX. These DX models do not have the second row plus one seat, tinted glass, or roof rails. In 2009, the power tailgate was added to EXL trims. 2010 would be the final model year. This was the best-selling generation of the Odyssey in the US, selling over 170,000 units a year from 2005 until 2007. It's 2011. If it wasn't clear before, it should be now. Some trends come and go, but the minivan is here to stay. Honda's market research team predicted that the minivan market segment would continue to grow in the 2010s decade and stated that a cultural shift was taking place, with younger generations more open to the minivan concept, specifically Gen X and Millennials, since they were the first generations to grow up with minivans. Wait, does that mean I like minivans?
Join me, and together we can rule the galaxy.
No, I won't do it! I won't buy a minivan. Wait, do you have any 5-speed Previas though? For the new 2011 Odyssey, Honda set out to make it, as they put it, the best family car in the world. Honda wanted this Odyssey to appeal to younger buyers, and said the 2011 Odyssey, quote, dramatically departs from conventional minivan styling with its low and wide stance, highlighted by a lightning bolt beltline. I mean, I guess it looks alright. I don't know about dramatic departure from conventional. What do you guys think?
It's lower and wider, with lines that have more in common with the Mercedes-Benz R-Class than the previous Odyssey.
What?
Of course, what really makes or breaks a minivan is what's on the inside. And inside this Odyssey, you'll find just about everything it had before, plus a lot more. Base LX trims are still a 7-seater with manual doors, and EX and above trims still add that second row middle seat, which can double as a center console armrest, and power sliding doors. I'm not a big fan of the functionality of the power sliding doors on this generation. The pinch sensors are all super sensitive, which I understand because Honda doesn't want the doors to close on little kids or their fingers, but the slightest amount of fishy cracker crumbs in the track will have these doors reversing direction and pop back open just when you think they're about to close. And even if your tracks are clean, worn out center rollers or faulty motors might give you issues closing these doors anyways. The second row seat can still be adjusted laterally, and you can actually fit 3 car seats in the second row alone now if need be. A widescreen rear entertainment system is optional on EXL models and standard on Touring and the new Touring Elite trim. Touring Elite trims also get rear-mounted HDMI inputs and a new blind spot monitoring system. Up front, EXL and above trims get what Honda calls a cool box, which is sort of like a cooler, and it actually gets chilled by the AC system. Of course, this only works when the car is running, but I think it's a really cool feature. EX and above models get this little ring that can hold trash bags. I just wish more people would use it. I've sat in some pretty disgusting minivans over the years, and I gotta tell you a secret, it's usually not the kids. The worst minivans are dirtiest in the front seat. The dash layout is more intuitive with this generation, I think. Radio controls and heated seat switches are in much better locations, and the gauges are simple but big and super easy to read. Perfect functional minivan gauges. Alright, let's pop the hood. It's ye ol' faithful, the 3.5J series. This iteration makes 248 horsepower. It's got variable cylinder management again, but this time there's no getting away from it. It's standard on all trims. Ah well, surely they've fixed the fouling issue by now. Oh, they haven't.
That's deplorable, unfathomable, improbable.
The same plug fouling situation is a super common issue again, and again lawsuits triggered warranty extensions where dealers would replace the piston rings, but these original extensions are all expired now. That said, it continues to be such a major issue on these engines that fresh new lawsuits are once again triggering another warranty extension, so we'll see what comes of that.
Susie, cancel my appointment with Dr. Bison and pack a bag for me.
Either way, it should be good news for Odyssey owners, not so good news for Honda dealership techs. Transmission is a 5-speed auto again on all but Touring and Touring Elite trims, which now use a new 6-speed automatic. In 2011, MotorWeek teamed up with Cars.com for a little minivan shootout, comparing the Odyssey, the Toyota Sienna, the Nissan Quest, Chrysler Town & Country, Dodge Grand Caravan, and the Volkswagen Rutan. The Odyssey got first place, with reviewers citing the Odyssey's comfortable and roomy interior, smoothest ride, best fuel economy, and car-like handling as reasons contributing to its victory. Well, Honda said they wanted to build the best family car. I guess they did. 2014 was the mid-run update year. Exterior revisions include an updated 2-bar grille, a new front bumper with round fog lights, darker headlight housings, and revised taillights on the rear. On the inside, Touring Elite models now come with a built-in vacuum, so you can capture those rogue fishy crackers on the fly. The engine is pretty much unchanged, but all trims now use the 6-speed transmission. EX and above trims now have keyless entry with push-button start, and both Touring models now have parking sensors and forward collision warning. Yeah, whatever, I'm more impressed by the vacuum. Oh, one thing about these parking sensors, if either of the bulbs in the switch burns out, the sensors won't work and you'll get this parking sensor error on your dash. I guess it's all wired in series or something, I don't know, it's very stupid. But if none of your sensors look damaged or dirty, this is the next thing you should check. At least it's an easy fix. On the inside, a revised interior now has a secondary screen for the radio controls and Bluetooth system, replacing many of the previous physical controls. I could have done without that change. They also felt the need to remove these blue lines above the temp and fuel gauges. I wonder why.
Hello, Honda Customer Relations.
My Odyssey didn't tell me it was getting hot. It's in the blue. Blue means cold. I'm not even that far off of the H.
H stands for hot.
Hot? I thought it meant healthy. What does the red teacup mean? In 2016, there was a new SE trim added. It's got all the same features as an EX, but it adds the vacuum, the rear entertainment system, and satellite radio. You had me at vacuum, SE trim. This generation would be sold until the 2017 model year, and sales remained pretty strong throughout. Power doors and oil-burning annoyances aside, these vans can still be a decent buy if you get one that's been well maintained. I'd probably avoid the color white though. The 2018 and, as of making this video, current generation of Odyssey has a real modern look to it, especially the Touring and Elite trims with their LED headlights. And these headlights do a good job of lighting up the night, helping you to avoid whatever hazards may pop up on your commute. Uh-oh, watch out, we're being swarmed by EV owners. The sliding door track is now integrated below the quarter windows, making it almost invisible, and overall this Odyssey has not a bad look for a minivan. On the inside, second row seats can be easily slid in multiple directions, and there's a plethora of seating and cargo arrangements, meaning the Odyssey continues to be an extremely versatile hauler for both people and cargo. All trims but the base LX come with a suite of driver's aid features, lane keep assist, adaptive cruise control, and blind spot monitoring. There's also auto high beams as well to save you from all that strain of pulling back on the headlight stock. The interior is loaded with tech. If you like screens, you'll be happy, though you might not be happy about all the lag and glitchiness from the infotainment unit. Once you get past that though, the infotainment unit does have some cool features. On Touring and above trims, there's a cabin watch feature, which uses a camera mounted in the roof to give you an overview of your kingdom and keep an eye out on just how many fishy crackers are being spilled. With cabin talk, you can press a button and your voice will be carried over the audio system. So if your rear passengers are watching the DVD Blu-ray entertainment system with headphones on, they'll be able to hear you. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are standard on all but LX trims. A power tailgate comes on EXL and above Odysseys. Touring and Elite trims have Wi-Fi capability and a hands-free power tailgate with a kick sensor. To me, the best Touring and Elite feature remains the vacuum. Elite trims also add a heated steering wheel now, ventilated seats, power folding mirrors, rain-sensing wipers, and a wireless charger. There's no doubt that Honda is very good at coming up with innovative new family car features that people really love, but the problem with this generation is, like most modern cars, is build quality. Just take a look at how many recalls there's been. You're gonna get to know your local dealer pretty well. Under the hood is, you guessed it, a J-Series. It's got 280 horsepower now and it uses VCM again, but they've finally fixed the plug fouling issue. That doesn't happen on this generation. You can still get misfires, but now it's from faulty fuel injectors. Direct injection. Worse than the fuel injector issues though, is the fact that these engines are affected by the connecting rod bearing recall, a major issue with J-Series models of the modern era. Odysseys, Pilots, Ridgelines, and most Acura models are affected. Touring and Elite trims have auto idle stop, which is a super common fuel-saving feature on modern vehicles, but it's one of the worst features I've ever seen. I'm sure by now you guys all know what this does. When you come to a stop in traffic or at a light, your engine shuts off, then a few seconds later when you start to move again, it starts back up. First of all, this puts so much extra wear and tear on the battery and the starter motor, and with all of the electronics in these vehicles plus the idle stop system, you're lucky to get 3 years out of a battery now. Even though these vehicles do restart themselves somewhat fast, there's still a delay, and I actually think these systems are downright dangerous, especially when making a left turn. And even if you want to believe the generous manufacturer or government fuel saving estimates where they claim you can save up to $2,000 over 10 years, that's still only $16.66 a month. You tell me, I guess, but I think you might just be better off canceling one of your subscription services. Furthermore, issues with the software that controls this system meant that for a while these vehicles were having a serious problem with shutting themselves off and then not having enough battery voltage to restart, leaving you precariously stuck in an intersection. Now the good news is this was one of the many recalls on these Odysseys, and the software update for this does seem to fix it most of the time. But what's super annoying is, although there's a button right near the gear selector to disable this system, every time you start the car it defaults to on. There's no way on Honda models that you can permanently turn it off. You have to press this disable button every single time you start the vehicle. Alright, now onto the transmission. It's the infamous 9-speed in all but the Touring and Elite trims, which use a new 10-speed. I wouldn't rate either of these transmissions as good, but the 9-speed, which is shared with Pilots and Ridgelines, is particularly bad. It has issues with rough shifting, it's super laggy at slow speeds, like if you're at a slow roll and then you try to punch it, there's a long delay before the transmission will downshift and the vehicle will actually do anything. These just perform super poorly in my opinion and have a real hard time getting that 280 horsepower to the wheel. They also have a pretty high failure rate, enough to trigger lawsuits again, but so far there's no transmission warranty extension for Odysseys, or even really a fix for the problem at all. Like father, like son. The Odyssey got updated for the 2021 model year. There's revised, sleeker headlights on the front and a new black grille. On the back, part of the chrome trim that runs above the license plate has been blacked out. Elite trims now ride on 19s and have power folding mirrors. There is no getting away from Honda sensing now, as it's standard on all trims. Touring and Elite trims now have piano black easy scratch trim accents on the interior, and Elite trims get perforated leather seats in the first 2 rows and contrast stitching on all 3. There's a new rear seat reminder feature now, which is present on all Hondas actually, and it reminds you not to forget your passengers in the car. It gets triggered if you open any of the rear doors shortly or after you start the vehicle, and then displays once you shut the vehicle off. At this rate, the next generation Odyssey is going to have an automated message that reminds you to breathe. For 2023, the LX trim is gone, EX is now the base. There's also a new Sport trim between EXL and Touring. Sport and EX trims have gloss black wheels, and Sport trims have gloss black mirrors and red ambient instrument panel lighting. In Canada and Mexico, there's a black edition, which pretty much blacks out all of the trim and adds red stitching to the black leather interior and red ambient lighting. There's been another update for the 2025 model year. There's a new grille and front bumper with honeycombs. A callback perhaps? There's also a new rear bumper and updated taillights. Inside there are revised climate controls and a larger touchscreen. A new driver's display screen now displays 2 round gauges, which is quite different from the previous display, but it's exactly the same display you will find in virtually every other current Honda model. There's also a larger rear entertainment screen and additional USB-C ports added throughout the cabin. Sales are down a little bit with this generation, but I'm not sure if that's in response to their lower build quality and higher ownership cost, or if it's just that minivan sales in general are down a little right now in favor of SUVs. Let me know what you think and what your Odyssey opinion is. As for me, after all that Odyssey rambling, I need a refreshment.